Alright, I think I'm live. 13 love, 13 knowledge, 13 wisdom, 13 respect. This is your creation 13. Today we're going to be discussing, and I really feel that there'll be a lot of things that'll be talked about in this video, is being real, being authentic, being the true kings and queens that you can be or potentially be, right? Rising up out of the ashes of things that are going on in the world. There's just so many things that are going on, conflicting truths out there, and lies. Don't know what's up or down, left or right. So with all the chaos that's going on in the world, we got to be real with ourselves and as authentic as possible. I talked about that on Facebook yesterday. Is that, do you love yourself? Can you look yourself in the mirror? Are you truthful? Do you present yourself in a manner that you are real authentic, or do you treat yourself as a stereotype and you have to act a certain way around people, right? The people pleaser, the one that knows the mechanics to fit in groups, in tribes, and things of that nature, right? It's great to know the mechanics of that, but at the end of the day, are you being real? And being real doesn't mean ego-driven either, right? It's living from the heart and being truthful. I was born and raised that way. My mom taught me good on being truthful and real, and I stuck to that. And as I grew up throughout the years, I went through a lot of heartache because people didn't live in the truth. People lie to each other and hurt each other. They would say one thing and then say something totally different the other to somebody else, right? The gossiper, the backstabber. And it was just blew my mind that people couldn't be truthful or authentic or real. Man, it just was crazy. And through that, for me personally, I developed the DTA from Stone Cold Steve Austin, don't trust anybody, because people weren't truthful. They weren't honest. They were just hiding behind a mask as a people pleaser to please the groups, but they would backstab them in a heartbeat. And it was crazy, and we're still going through that now. I think it's more real than anything else right now, is that people are learning to be authentic, but I think they don't know how to continue being that, or even know what that is, right? And one of the pet peeves that I got, man, is, and it's not really a pet peeve, it's just I don't really get it, but when women, they put so much makeup on their face and it's just crazy to me. And then when you see them without makeup, you're just like, whoa, what's going on? You look like a totally different person. And makeup, man, just destroys your face. And that's why people don't look so great when they don't have makeup on, is because their face is just destroyed and has no oxygen. So of course their face is going to be interesting looking. But if you kept it natural, used moisturizer and things of that nature, man, you'd be looking good, and that's just being real and authentic, right? You don't need to put on makeup. You don't need to try to impress somebody. Now, it doesn't mean you don't need to be lazy either, but that's the process of being real, right? And rising up to your true potential too, right? You still need to take care of yourself and everything, but you don't have to be wasting all that time putting on a mask that doesn't really even have any value to it. Beyond popular belief, guys just want to be real. At least I hope so. And they want to hang out with a person that's real, not someone that hides in makeup or hides in a facade, right? And it goes with guys or girls. And it's just, it's uncanny to me on how people can be that way. I'm still trying to figure out how people can be dishonest at the end of the day as well. So, yeah. And how can you gain trust within yourself to be authentic? I think that's the most important element, is teaching and training yourself on how you want to be presented in the world. People don't think about this. I know they don't think about it because, the outside world will just devour you, right? And there's a famous quote from the 1990 Ninja Turtle movie was, the outside world will reject you. And that is so true, right? The outside world will reject you, will reject your authentic self, as long as you're not ego-driven, right? Man, there's so many ways that people could view what it means to be authentic. For me personally, it's about maturity. It's about family values, honesty, living by the heart, caring about others, caring about yourself. You gotta care about yourself. If you're not caring about yourself, you cannot take care of others. Being truthful, loving, things of that nature, right? That's being real. And people have to train on that. And that's why it's so important to write on a piece of paper of what kind of authenticity are you bringing to the table, and what kind of authenticity do you present to the world. Write it down. Say, hey, I'm a loving person. Hey, I care about people. Hey, I want to see people mature. I want to see myself mature. Things like that. And look at what you need to work on too, right? If you don't love yourself, write down why and write down the solution, right? If you don't like the way people view things, write down why and what's the solution, right? The spiritual community, religious communities, right? Man, there's such a conflicting perspective of both areas, and it creates a dishonesty with people. It does, and it creates a form of distrust as well, especially in the religious community. I feel is a lot more than the spiritual community, but the spiritual community really has, man, it really has a lot of things that you don't really look at or expect, right? Spiritual community will present love in their message, but when they turn the cameras off, or they don't know somebody, or if somebody throws a negative viewpoint of things, they say, oh, yeah, just gotta detach them. They don't know who they are, instead of saying, hey, how come they act that way? What's going on? And the religious community is going to be based upon your narrative and perception and perspective of things. If you don't agree or walk in the narrative, they're going to kick you out. Because if you bring anything different, the narrative's different in some way, you share your testimonies, and it doesn't reflect their message, they kick you out. I had just watched another person that is supposedly all about God and Christ. Same thing. You don't respect that leader, even the followers, man, they'll just kick you out. It is astonishing to me on how hypocritical people can be when people are trying to learn and grow with the Creator, when people are trying to learn and grow with a relationship with Christ. And people, especially the leaders, just want to kick you to the curb. They don't want to have interaction or have an understanding of diversity, right, in the mix of things. And it's absolutely horrible, and it just astonishes me on how people can do that. It's crazy to me. And another guy did the same thing. Another religious guy. He kicks people out because he says he's the authority, right? I think there's a right place and a right time for it, but it gets to the point that people have to learn that we're equals, right? You're a human, I'm a human, supposedly we're human, right? They're in equal playing fields, right? People create illusions. People create titles of authority. It's a creation, right? It's a mindset and a creation of authority. And it's one of the ultimate illusions. And it just astonishes me about that. You know, people are never going to unite through diversity if they continue to be that kind of leader who is just throws people out when something doesn't agree with what they're doing, and then all their followers just start throwing stones. It is just uncanny to me and how that is. That's why it's important to be real and truthful, right? The true kings and queens are going to be ones who will embrace diversity and who will give people a chance to learn about maturity, to learn about being real, to learn about authenticity and love and taking care of yourself, taking care of others, balancing out your life, whether it be through handling your money and bills and things of that nature, right? That's what I'm all about, right? You know, I'm there to help you if you need it, right? And it's just creating a real authentic you. And if you don't know that that exists within you, then you know you got to figure it out and take notes and find out how you can be that kind of person as well. So there's just so many things you can look at through being real and honest as well, right? And you know, like I said, I've been honest with my videos since the beginning. And you know, I get lots of stones thrown at me all the time, right? I think when you're real, people know. People know. And I think people get jealous because they don't think that you can be real and truthful because people have been backstabbed so many times in their life, right? I give everybody a chance, right? I don't know who they are, but I give them a chance and get to know them, right? It's important to get to know people because if you don't get to know people, you're not going to know them at all. You're not going to see potential. You're not going to know what kind of person they are. That's why it's important to learn, have conversations, discover breakthroughs through them and through yourself as well, right? And and that's pretty much it, man, is being real and authentic, right? If you can't do that, then you need to educate yourself on how to do that, right? There's so many people who try to please others and fit in tribes that they lose touch with their authenticity. They do, right? I see so many people that mimic their favorite artists and celebrities and whoever it may be, right? They quote key words that the person who's creating the content creates, right? Just like how I say you are creation 13, right? It's a code word that people could use if they want to, but I would hope that you wouldn't be regurgitating what I say. I mean, it's good to promote, but you still got to find your authentic self as well at the end of the day, because if you're not, then you're lying to yourself, you're lying to others, and that's something that humanity really, really got to learn how to do, right? We're being lied to like up to, it's crazy, man. The ultimate deception, revelations, things like that is being taken place, and that's why it's important to take one day at a time. But be truthful and honest with yourself and others, because right now, that world, man, it's being very dishonest right now. We're not getting the whole story on things. Everything is just shades of gray. There's no color, there's no contrast, there's nothing, man. It's just a blur. And people don't know what to believe in anymore. They don't know who to trust. Right? With this pandemic and everything, people don't know. People don't know what's going on. And there's so many illegal things that are happening. You have to educate yourself with it as well, right? And not feel so hopeless. Like, that's what I'm going through right now, is that, I feel there's a lot of things that are just out of my hands. There is. Like, I'm only one person, right? So I just have to release and surrender and know that there's people out there that are taking care of what needs to be taken care of. It's true. I've seen it. And I think it's important to be aware that people are making a difference out there. And if what they're doing, what they're making a difference is what you want to be doing with them, then link up with them. Help them out, help them build. That's what it's all about, is helping people build and grow together, uniting through diversity. We can't just do this all by ourselves. And that's why I talked about leaders earlier, is because these leaders get so full of themselves, and they think that they're it, and if you don't believe or listen to their message, then you're a threat to them, so they kick you out. And that's the ultimate deception right there, right? If they think that you're a threat, that should tell that leader, hey, there's something about this person that I need to get to know better, right? Let's learn and grow together and find out what's going on. What is this feeling, right? Can you continue to create something without it being one-sided, right? You got to have different views on things, right? If you're a CEO and you're having business meetings, if you don't have all those people, like they usually have a team of 10 or 12 people that have skill sets and ideas. And if those people were not there and it was just a CEO, it would be very limited and selective on what that person could create. So that's why you have a, what's the word I'm looking for? You just have a group of people, 12 people that that's going to help you make good alternative decisions that as a CEO you may not have thought of. As a leader, you may not have thought of, right? Someone's in church and they have some amazing ideas. You're not going to know because you didn't get to know them. You were so driven by what you created, holding on to it, that you lost touch with the people. And that's why it's important to listen to people as a whole, right? We're all spreading the truths that we've experienced, right? Our life experiences, right? Born and raised in a Christian home. So my foundation is Christ and God, right? And my foundation is based on trust, family values, loving and caring about people, things like that. That's what my mom taught me. And I chose to stay that way, right? I chose to stay that way. I could have chose the exact opposite and not done that, but I listened to my mom, and she raised a good kid, right? So this kid now is trying to help people look at life differently, prepare people for what's to come. There's a lot of things that are coming. It's uncertain times. That's why it's important to take things day by day. Don't allow someone to overthrow you. My motto will always be, that we're all leaders. We can all potentially be leaders. But with being a leader comes greater responsibility, because you do have a level of value with people, because they recognize you more because of that leadership quality. And that's why you mentor people and help people get to that potential with themselves as well, right? That's so very important. That's why I'm all about, man, is discovering the leader within you, and going forward with it as well. So it's quite uncanny and different with life, and it makes you look at life differently, right? Maybe it's because I was homeschooled, so I really didn't get to adventure out into the high school realm and all that stuff. But on the other hand, I was able to experience that because of my wife, right? When we were going out, I was able to go to proms, and it was just so very interesting, hanging out with her friends and everything. It was a unique and beautiful experience to be able to do that. I was homeschooled, and then, hey, I was able to actually experience prom twice with, I didn't know at the time, would be my wife, right? So that's why it's important to cherish every moment. I cherish those moments, man. Like I was just at awe of, like, wow, thank you, Christ, for allowing me to experience these things, because I'd always wanted to experience what is it like for little simple things like going to prom. I never thought that it would mean something, but it did. It's because you experienced that. You experienced with people that you loved and cared about and things like that. And that's what we need to do, right? Leaders need to come together at the end of the day. I think that's the main thing I see, is that spiritual leaders, religious leaders, they don't want to come together. Like, they're so prideful of what they've built that they're scared if somebody who has an alternative or diverse way about themselves will impact what they have. Now, I could see if the person was dishonest that came in, or immature, things like that. That's where you want to mentor and disciple them, right? You don't want to kick them out. You want to mentor them, right? You don't kick people out. You want to help them. Now, if they don't want help, or if there's no progress within the help, then you do got to let them go. Say, hey, when you're ready to mature and rise up, come on back and we can talk again, right? And write down what they need to work on. Give that person some kind of homework that they can work on. Don't just send them out to the wolves without assistance. Write down what they can work on. Help them grow and build. We've all been there. We've all been there. The process of being real and authentic, right? Being true kings and queens, again, is caring for people. So very important in helping them learn and grow. No matter what, right? No matter what. That's what I'm all about. I've talked to quite a few people, right? I'm a leader where I work at, so I pay attention to the people. I have conversation with them and learn about their views and things, right? And I take that home with me, and I develop that here as well, because people want that. They do. They want to be heard. People are going through things at their house, or they're going through trials and tribulations. They want to talk to somebody, right? Somebody that they can trust. Somebody that loves them and cares about them. And things of that nature as well. Let's see. Oh man, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'll just say TYB. He says he used to watch, used to be in the 13th Son cult. I'm glad I escaped the dogma. Right, but that's the thing too. Like, I learned a lot from the 13th Son. I did, but it wasn't because of a trend or things like that. I knew what he was putting out there, right? And he spoke in parables, and he was real, right? He was going through a lot. He had a dark background, man. Dark background. Like he said it in his videos, right? He did anything and everything to get to the top. And something clicked. Like I had an awakening, he had an awakening. We found our mission, right? He was successful in what he did. He accomplished what he was supposed to. And the funny thing is about the 13th Son, everything he said came true. Literally everything he said came true. It's the sad thing about that though is the 13th Son was authentic. His followers, no, it was just the followers, right? Those who didn't equip themselves and train themselves to be leaders. That's what 13th Son was about. He was training and equipping people to be leaders, not followers. He didn't want you to follow him, right? He wanted to lead by example, and that's what he was doing. There were some things, he would get heated a lot, but that was just part of his personality, and he was still learning and growing, right? But, from what I gather, I can't judge the person on a personal level. All I know is what he created, and he helped me out. There's a lot of things I learned from that, but there's like you said, the cult and the dogma of people creating a religion around that. They didn't listen to what 13th Son was saying about love yourself, respect yourself, go out there, be a leader, be that change that people are looking for. So, and it's just the process because people aren't being equipped to be leaders, right? It's just like an automatic, hey, I'm going to follow this person, and I'm going to say every little tag or whatever it is, right? Just like I said at the beginning, right? 13 love, 13 knowledge, 13 wisdom, 13 respect. Learn that from the 13th son. I don't say that because I'm part of that. I say that because that's real, right? Right? What does 13 present? 13 is the 0 point. It's getting back to the foundation of things, getting back to where you came from, right? You're not this meat suit. There's a soul in here that was created before this meat suit, and it goes way back, right? And you'll leave this meat suit and continue on in another meat suit, or whatever kind of form there may be after that, right? Where was I going with that? But oh yeah, and that's what the 13th means. So when I say 13 love, 13 knowledge, 13 wisdom, 13 respect, that means the 0 point of knowledge, the 0 point of respect, the 0 point of wisdom, the 0 point of love, right? Knowing what that is without the dogma attached to that stuff, you know? Hey, how's it going? Lorraine? I'm gonna say Lorraine. I'm always bad at butchering these names because people's names are spelled so differently. But hey, it's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you guys. I've never seen either one of you, so yeah. But that's what we got to look at. I'm glad that TYB brought that up, because that's exactly what I'm talking about. We have these leaders that come out, have a great message. Some people are pretty vocal and out there. 13th son was definitely vocal. He spoke his mind, but he was real too, and he matured a lot as the years went on. But everything he said came true. There was even one where, and man, I'd love to find it, but he was making a video, and then all of a sudden something popped up, and he's like, man, what is this, some kind of virus that's popping on my computer? And I ended up coming across that video again, and I was like, wow. And it was during the stages of the pandemic in 2019 or 2020, right? When was it? Yeah, 2020. Through all that, and it was crazy. Like, it was just word for word. I was like, wow. Yeah, I've met Lorraine, but I've seen it spelt many different ways. So I always am afraid I'm going to butcher the name when I see it. Yeah, see, and TYB didn't think of it that way either. Because we're not trained. We're not equipped. We don't know what a leader is, right? We don't know how to be a leader. We're not taught how to be leaders in school. We're not. We're taught how to be followers in school. You can be equipped in knowledge of what you want to learn, but they don't teach you how to be a leader. Like, some people are built to be leaders. Other people need to be taught how to be a leader. Leading by example. And I think that's where we have to start being vocal about that, right? A number one thing that I've noticed with a lot of people, especially in the religious community, is they always tell the viewers that that they're not perfect, and that they're weak, that they couldn't do things without Christ, and things like that, right? They say those words as a way of belittling themselves, right? You know, you don't realize you're saying that, and you know that's one of the downfalls when you're communicating, is that if you have knowledge and wisdom and you're presenting something to the world, you want to be truthful with what you've learned and experienced. I mean, it's a culture. Religion is a culture. It is. I was born and raised in a Christian home. It's a culture. And people are scared to step out of the boundaries of that culture. They are. And if they do step out of the culture and that community or church finds out, they'll kick you out. And they're not equipping people to be leaders, right? That's what you're doing. If you have all these people, man, it drives me nuts, whether it be a spiritual community or a religious community. You have all these people watching you, but that leader is not equipping you to be leaders, right? They're just telling you a narrative of how to believe or how to have a relationship, things like that, right? You know, I speak about my personal encounters on how I have a relationship with the Creator, how I have a relationship with Christ, right? I say that this is my encounter. I'm not telling you that's how it is. This is my encounter. You're going to have a different encounter. TYB will have a different encounter. Lorraine will have a different encounter. I hope I'm saying your name right. Like I said, I butcher people's names. But, you know, they can be leaders too. If they ask and if they want to be leaders. And people need to realize these cults. They need to realize that they're being a follower and that they're not going any farther in their path. Lorraine. All right, there we go. That works for me. Lorraine. Bringing the law in. Thank you. That does help a lot. It really does. That's what I like about Facebook, is that you can put pronunciations of names because people don't know, right? We just kind of guess on the names, and that's something to bring up too. Guessing game with the faith and belief, listening to these leaders, right? It's a guessing game. Oh, this person presents something, or they present it in a way that seems convincing enough, right? That's not why you're there watching it. You're there to become a leader, right? The mindset of that. I really had to put that together myself because I've done so much observing of where people are at. And like I said, religious communities, they down themselves. They say that they're weak, that they don't matter. They'd be nothing without Christ. And I'm like, man, how come these leaders are not telling these people? They're not telling these people, hey, you can be strong. You can be loving. Do you know how to love? Do you know how to care? Right? It's just a consistent, well, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do here? What would Jesus do here? Right? Not talking about the personal encounters. That's what I'm all about, right? You know, very vocal about my relationship with the Creator and having Christ as my guide, right? But I don't want to allow that to overtake what is being presented, right? I'm all about maturity, learning how to live together through diversity, right? Family values, things of that nature, things that aren't being discussed in this day and age. People are so into the clickbaits and just different kind of trends as well. So Lorraine says, thoughts on David Wilcock. Just like myself, I had my awakening in 2010. He was pretty much one of the few guys that I came across pretty quick, was David Wilcock. I think he was there for me at the right time, right? I don't believe anybody. I don't trust anybody, right? That's just something I grew up with, just because there was just so many people that I tried to trust and didn't trust. So I took everything with a grain of salt of what people were presenting, and I did my homework when people talked. And David Wilcock's a good example because he creates followers, and again, not leaders. They don't create leaders. So they create narratives of their experiences and what they find out, right? And if you notice with David Wilcock, he has changed his story so many times, right? He said that he was a reincarnation of, oh man, what the heck is his name? Somebody in the 60s. Man, I can't think of his name. But yeah, he said it was a reincarnation, and then he got to the UFOs, and then when 2012 was coming in, which is when I started watching him, talking in 2010, he changed his narrative again. So he really is just a person that's just a clickbait. And he's a face that's recognized, right? Everybody knows him. He knows how to talk. I think he has had personal encounters, but I also think that he just regurgitates things, right? Jordan Maxwell is the king. He is true and authentic. Everybody has copied Jordan Maxwell. David Wilcock, guarantee you, has copied from Jordan Maxwell. So if you give anybody props about what people are talking about today, David Wilcock, whoever it was, it has all originated from Jordan Maxwell. So if you don't know who Jordan Maxwell is, check him out. He is what everything is, right? Everybody has regurgitated what Jordan Maxwell has created, and that's important, and that we got to keep that going because people are taking all of Jordan Maxwell's research and just using it to gain wealth and fortune and followers and things of that nature. So it's sad, man. It's sad. Let's see. What woke me up? Oh man. In 2009, in December, I was at work and I went to break, and I noticed on the newspaper that there was the Norway spiral. Not many people seem to remember the Norway spiral, but I saw it in the magazine or in the newspaper, and I'm like, Norway spiral? What the heck is that? So I looked into it. I kept watching the videos on YouTube, and I'm like, wow, it's like a portal, man. A big fan of Star Trek and X-Files and things like that, and that's what it reminded me of. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? And then after December, January 1st, literally January 1st, everything just changed. It was like an alarm clock just went off. I had a deep conversation with Christ and some other beings, guardians, whatever they were, with Christ, and they said, hey, you got to learn about the ways of the world. And I'm like, what? So they sat down with me, and they just started telling me all this stuff I need to look into, and I just was nonstop every day. When I get off work, I'd be researching all the time. I tell my wife, hey, I got to be researching and all this stuff just consistently. I looked into the conspiracy theories and quantum mechanics and aliens and ETs and remote viewing and deep meditations and all these things that I had never even thought about, right? You know, I was just a Christian guy that just had the basic foundations of what it meant to be a Christian, and then, man, just getting my mind blown by this deep conversation with Christ and him just continuously showing me all this stuff. It astonished me. I'm just like, this is real? Like, this is really going on, right? And I didn't believe everything I saw, and that's people's downfall, is that people, what they see, they think is real, right? And it's not. So, like myself, when I'm doing my research, I just view it, I observe it, and then Christ told me, hey, now you need to go sit in meditation, in prayer, and we got to communicate. and dissect this stuff. I was like, okay. So literally that's what I said. I was like, okay, what am I doing in meditation? So in meditation, I started to learn about remote viewing. I started to learn about on how to heal old wounds, shadow beings and things like that, right? You can say demons, whatever, but that's a whole different story. But you're cleansing out your vessel. That's what Christ said. He's like, you need to cleanse out your vessel so then you can receive better. So you can receive information, right? Just like the term Holy Ghost or Holy Spirit, right? So you become a satellite, a clear satellite. That's what Christ was saying, a clear satellite. You got to clean out all the stuff. So, the message isn't getting distorted. So I had to learn about that consistently, learn about remote viewing, learning how to channel different beings, and that was scary because I'm like, channeling different beings? I was told that I don't listen to nobody but you, man. He's like, yeah, power of discernment, man. Power of discernment. I need you to learn about, that's what Christ said. I need you to learn about the power of discernment. I need you to, when you're communicating with these people, read them. I'll teach you how to create a shield through meditation. So he taught me how to create a shield, right? And then I would research this stuff too. So Christ would teach me something, teach me shield and stuff, and then I'd go and research it and see what people see people's experiences and encounters. I'm like, wow, that's what Christ just taught me. And I would spend so much time in meditation. Literally, that was the next phase. So I researched the world with all the conspiracy theories and things like that. And then I migrated to getting off work, meditating. Hours and hours and hours and hours. Learning, developing, channeling different beings, different sources, stars, planets, underground, remote viewing. Just finding out how the mechanics of this world worked. Learning about energy and learning how to throw lifelines out there, right? You can literally put lifelines out there or cords that help heal the earth and things like that, right? You know, Christ was equipping me for this stuff. It's the power of the imagination for sure, but it's real, man, and it got extreme, man. But that's basically, at the end of the day, that's what happened. I've been being equipped and trained to this very day with Christ as my guide. And you know, that's something that, you know, people need to learn what authentic is. It's not about reading books. It's not about knowing every scripture or every law of attraction and all of these trending words, man. It's being real and having both feet in the physical reality and the spiritual realm, right? The multidimensional realm. Learning how to balance them and observing, right? That's me. That's how I work. Not everybody's like that. And you have to accept that, right? I had to accept that because I'm like, man, if I'm figuring all this stuff out, there's got to be other people that are figuring it out. There is other people like me out there, but it's interesting because I see so many people that watch David Wilcock and 13 Son, and they just are just following, but they're not being equipped and trained to be leaders. And when leaders come through and have conversation with other leaders, there's a conflict of interest there because they're at a selective narrative, and when somebody comes in that kind of twists their narrative or asks a different question, they get agitated and they're like, hey, you know, I'm the leader of my channel, or I'm the leader of this group. I need to make sure I'm on top, and it should never be the case, right? We're all equal. We're all equal. Humans have created this realm of chain of command, right? It's necessary to an extent because you're never going to mature you'll always be a teenager or a child if you don't have a level of maturity. And I think that's where that process comes in of like, hey, a leader needs to be a representation of diversity, love, honor, respect, family values, and equipping people to be leaders. That should be in the description. Equipping people to be leaders. So very important at the end of the day. So awesome stuff. Let's see. Lorraine says, well said. That verbalizes my frustration with these mouse peoples, with their mouthpieces. They make people passive. They do. And the thing I really dislike about celebrities like David Wilcock in the conspiracy theory spiritual realm is a mouthpiece, right? That's all he is a mouthpiece. There is, from my observing of the person, I don't know him personally. He doesn't share from his heart where he's coming from. He shares knowledge and, like I said, regurgitated information from Jordan Maxwell, right? What's her name? I gotta think of her name. Man, come to think of it, I haven't even seen anything on her. Oh man, she's on the tip of my tongue. Can't think of her name. Can't even think of her. Camelot, Project Camelot. Carrie Cassidy. There we go. I knew I was going to be able to find it. Yeah, Carrie Cassidy with Camelot, right? I think it's Project Camelot. Let me make sure. She's real and authentic. She really is. And she, with her research and talking with all these people, right? She tries to get the best out of them through their information. It's really hard to distinguish. Yeah, I wonder what happened to her. I wonder if they banned her from YouTube. Nah, she's still on here. Ah, that's why. Somebody took my subscription off. That's the thing with YouTube, man, is that they'll take your they'll cancel your subscription. So no wonder I wasn't getting nothing from her. That's crazy. Huh. But yeah, Carrie Cassidy, she's real and authentic, man. She's done a lot of interviews. Some people are fake, some people are real. Hard to say what the story is behind it, but it's just a story, right? A lot of these people who do these interviews, which hopefully I can start doing interviews with you guys interacting with me, especially since I've never met Lorraine or TYB, you know, that kind of gives me an example that there's people out there listening. So, you know, hopefully I can get guests that are up this late at night and have discussions about being real and authentic as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, Lorraine's like, yep, Carrie Cassidy. Yep, I have her site on my on my page. Yeah, I'm gonna get her website too. I never thought about that. But yeah, somebody unsubscribed me. I was wondering why I wasn't seeing nothing from her. I have to see what she has. If I missed anything. But yeah, Project Camelot got me a lot. When I was doing my research on everything, I learned a lot through Carrie Cassidy, right? You know, and there's much respect to her as well, because she really went above and beyond, right? And she really made sure that Jordan Maxwell was presented out there as the leader and foundation for learning about the history of the United States. And just how many lies the United States has been built upon, right? It all originated. It all came to here, right? the Europeans, the Romans, the Roman Empire, they all migrated to America. Then they created the business of the United States. And then they tried to create their own history. They tried to rewrite history. And that's what Jordan Maxwell was all about. He exposed all that stuff. And they thought he was a crazy person. But now all of Jordan Maxwell's work has been documented. It's real. He's been told he has to be quiet about certain things. But you can read it on his website. I still need to subscribe to that website. The only thing I'm worried about, if I do, I would end up spending days and days and days going through all of his material that he has continuously put up on there. So I'd be a little scared to be too tempted to start adventuring into that rabbit hole. But yeah, Jordan Maxwell, man, he's a good guy, and his legacy needs to keep going. Let's see. Lorraine says, when I think of Jordan Maxwell, I think of how he taught me the law of the sea versus the law of the land. That's right. That's right. And the law of the land is so corrupt. It's uncanny. Nobody owns land, but as soon as the Roman Empire came over here, and as they were coming to here, if you didn't believe what they did, man, that was it. And sad, right? You know, the natives, they know that we don't own the land. We're here to protect the land. We're here to nurture the land. We are supposed to be the caretakers of the earth. And humanity has failed. And now the earth is dying. And until humanity can learn to work together through diversity and realize the priority is taking care of the earth, it's not a good future. We're seeing the fruit of that right now, right? We're seeing the chaos. We're seeing the perceived leaders of the world and leaders of the business of the United States take advantage of the people because they have the money and the power to do so. But there is greater numbers than there are of those people, right? Those perceived leaders who have lots of money, they could fall just like that if people would be able to come together through diversity. Hopefully it happens. I pray every day that it happens. But again, it's equipping people to be leaders at the end of the day, being real, becoming a leader. And I think people have to have a different perspective of what that means to be a leader. What it means to be responsible, right? That's what I was taught by my mom. That was what I was taught by my mom. And I took everything she said to heart. And I think it was just because I was homeschooled. I wasn't corrupt by the ways of the world. So my purity or my essence wasn't distorted through adolescence, right? You know, as we grow up as teenagers, things like that, you know, you get peer pressure and you get kind of thrown into the mix of things. And I could be a totally different person. Would I've ended up where I'm at right here, right now? It's hard to say. It would depend on what I went through if I would have went to public school instead of being homeschooled. But, you know, I'm happy with where I'm at. It's created a whole unique perspective for me. And at times it's hard to talk to other people because, you know, I wasn't corrupted by the ways of the world. So people who went to public school and all the drama and emotions and heartbreaks and learning and things like that, you know, they can have more baggage attached to them as well. So that's, again, teaching people how to be equipped to be leaders and maturity and things like that as well. So yeah. And I'm glad you guys brought up the leader thing because I've been talking about that here and there, but I'm probably going to have to talk about it more. Because if people keep telling themselves that they're weak or that they don't have any kind of value or things like that, and those leaders are telling their viewers that it's doing it no good, because those followers are going to continuously mimic what the leaders are telling them. Like I said, there's other group that I've been observing, and it's the same way. Is that leader of that religion or cult or whatever it is. Cult just means hidden. A cult, people have just distorted it into something else. But it is just a way of being a follower. The quote I learned was, don't walk in front of me, don't walk behind me, walk beside me. Right? Let's equally walk together as a whole, so we can respectively learn from each other, grow through life with one another. If we have any questions or we need a different perspective, like I said, if you're CEO, you got to have like 12 people to help you build your business, because if it's just you, you're going to be very selective and your business will collapse because you didn't have that collaboration of people, right? And that's what we're waiting on right now. That's what I'm waiting on. I'm trying to figure out ways on... I'm tired of waiting. I'm trying to figure out ways to help people get together without it being, oh, well, we're about this religious cult or selective narrative, or hey, we're in the spiritual community, we're all about love and light, and if there's anything negative, we don't want you in our circle, type of thing, right? That's got to go away, right? People got to quit throwing sand. When people are in their sandboxes, quit throwing sand at the kids and throwing it in their eyes, right? Because people ain't learning, they're not growing, they're not maturing, because we weren't equipped to do so, right? That's what the leaders want you to do, right? The people who are rich, they don't want you to have knowledge and wisdom. They don't want you to become a leader. They don't want people to group up together. They don't want people to group up together. They want you to stay divided. Why do you think this stuff's going on now? Is this stuff real and fake? It's real. It's real. But there's an agenda behind it. You have to do the research on all the let's see, how can I say it? Because there's words that will block you. So let me think of how I can say that. I'll just say bacteria. If you look through all the bacteria from chickenpox and measles and mumps and the plague, right? It was all related to battles. It was all related to battles and people trying to conquer one another, right? So people would create these chemicals to control the people. It's in research, right? It's in history. Research is key. Look into history. And those pandemics started because of a battle. And that's what we're seeing now. It was forced upon. That stuff is human-made. With the way nature is, with how our bodies are. Now, if your chemistry is different, like people are allergic to different things, that's different. That's different. So based on your genetics, there'll be certain things that you are immune to, and there'll be certain things that are just like kryptonite for Superman that will just knock you down. So it's important to know your DNA, your family bloodline, where you come from, things like that. But yeah, all these man-made bacterias is a way of controlling the people. It's all man-made. It does not, it's not natural. It's not natural. Do research, you'll find out it's not natural. And that's what we see right now. That's a way of controlling the people. And it's bad right now. It's really bad. And there's talks of other things. And that's why we got to unite as leaders, so we can change the narrative of what's being played out now. They are just milking the heck out of this. And it's gotten stupid, right? You know, you can't even say the words because they'll block you. But just the current pandemic, right? That word is just part of the flu, right? It's already built within us, right? And we're supposed to have the flu-like symptoms to build our immunity up so we can survive winter. Because if your immunity is not built up, then you're going to die. So you got to build your immunity up. That's why people get colds and things like that. It's to build the immunity up. But if you mutate things, which is what the current thing is, they mutate it, it's going to have a reaction in people. Some people are good, some people are not. Like I said, it just depends on your DNA. Like if people are allergic to peanuts, right? It's going to be based on your DNA. So you got to look at that as well. So yeah, it's Lorraine is like, you're like a Jordan Maxwell reincarnate. Yeah, I take his stuff to heart. I do. And it's important. Like I said, I am real and I'm authentic, and I've learned a lot. Like I said, from him. I've learned a lot from the controversial 13th son. But I take the best out of people, and look at ways on how it helps people, right? Jordan Maxwell created a way of helping people see what's going on, right? I was hanging out with my friend, and he's friends with Jordan Maxwell, and Jordan Maxwell showed up on the Zoom chat that we were on, and I didn't catch it, but True Seeker, check out True Seeker, he's a good guy, a good brother, and Jordan Maxwell said before the pandemic happened, during this, what was it? It was in November 2019, I think it was October, November, somewhere around there. But Jordan Maxwell said that there is something that's going to take place that is very wicked, and I didn't catch it, but he did, and I was having a conversation. True Seeker did, and I was having a conversation with him, and he played that back, and I was like, wow. He's like, yeah, man, I should have played that clip, but I didn't want to create any fear in people. But whether we find out or not, right? We got all these predictions, right? People use the Bible consistently. That's what they're talking about now. Oh, it's the end times and Christ is coming back and things like that, right? People get stuck in a narrative. And it took maturity. It took me a lot of maturity, right? Saying the word narrative is pretty recent for me, but it's important because people have very selective narratives, right? And you're going to, on a personal level, right? I have my own faith and belief, and I do have a select narrative. But with my faith and belief, right, and my select narrative, I still keep my mind open to all walks of life, so I can continue to grow and learn, as well as help people be equipped as leaders to not be manipulated by people, because people are still trying to be manipulated, right? We got the whole revival of the church that's going on. That's going to crash and burn, and it does all the time, because these leaders are not equipping leaders. They're allowing the narrative to over dominate the healing of a person, right? So that's what I've observed. Let's see. Lucifer becomes God. Right. Lucifer just means a light being or light bearer. It's if you do research of the Bible, I always tell people to look into the Hebrew roots of things. And again, I got taught by Jordan Maxwell the same thing. Look at the root origins of these books, of these religious texts, right? It's not what we were taught in church, right? Do the research on the words and what they mean, right? So like the word God, that doesn't exist at all. Like, it does not exist. The word God was created from Latin and Greek, which is from the Romans, and they created that word, right? They created Jesus Christ word as well. That's not nowhere in the Bible either, except for the New Testament, right? Which was written by Latin and Greek. So you got to question what was presented in the Latin Greek, because that is a much younger way of life compared to Hebrew, which was older, and then Hebrew is attached to previous, like Mayat and Kemet, things like that. So there's just a lot of things that we have to look at. But the word God doesn't exist, and people are like, oh, Elohim just means God. It does not mean God. But it is, God is Gad, G-A-D, which is, trying to think. I think it has to do with profitability, right? Money is power, right? That's why it's on the dollar bill. It says, in God we trust, because it trusts in the profit and things like that to control the people, right? So in God we trust just means that you are trusting in man instead of going back to the Creator, which is what Christ was all about. Christ was all about teaching people the ways of the world and how people would get conned into anything, right? Christ was against religious narratives, right? There wasn't, the word church didn't exist either, so they would hang out in temples, but they would have select narratives, select books, and Christ would say, hey, see these select narratives, right? You don't follow this stuff. It's written by man. See what these people are doing? They're selling stuff that is of man, right? We don't need to be selling nothing. Trading is what we're supposed to be doing, but we're not there to make a profit. Profit is of man. Owning land is of man. It's a false narrative. So there's just all these things that Christ taught about the world, and Christ said, the only thing you need to know is to have a relationship with the Creator. That's it. You have a relationship with the Creator through meditation. That's the old narrative, is meditation. Prayer is something that came in later. The word prayer came in later. But you just meditate with the Creator, receive information through your satellite, and then mature with it, right? You don't go out there and do all these things, right? There was no Bible. Everybody keeps saying, oh yeah, Christ had a Bible and he read the Bible all the time. I was like, no man, there was no Bible. He said right in the Bible that he only listened to the Creator. He didn't read any books, right? And if he was supposedly the creator in the flesh, he wouldn't need any books anyways. And he would teach his disciples the secret arts, which was just deep meditation, intuition, going into the spirit realm, communicating with other beings, right? Because the word angels and demons, those don't exist either. They're just messengers. And when you read the Bible and understand the term messenger, there's different messengers in the Bible. It was something I talked about in a previous video, was if you've seen a physical being, it was a person, right? A person of some kind. But if they said archangel, right? Archangel doesn't exist in the Bible either. But if it said archangel, then I feel that that is communication from somewhere else as well. So it just depends on how you view things as well. So yeah. So anyways, I need to go to bed. But thank you all for joining me in the chat. That definitely brings in some good conversations. It was nice to meet you guys. Definitely like and subscribe. All that good stuff. Yeah, just continue to learn and grow. Be real. Be honest. Become the kings and queens, the true kings and queens of this world, because we need you guys. We need to be equipping the kids and the teenagers, right, the youth, to be good leaders. Because if we don't have good leaders for the future, it's not going to be pretty, right? That's what I'm all about, as a whole as well. So anyways, I'm tired. I need to go to bed. So love yourself, respect yourself, love others, continue to learn, continue to grow. And like I said, if you need to write stuff down on what you need to work on in your life, then write it down and then write a solution of how you can become a better leader within your life, and then a good example for people out there that you're going to interact with as well. So anyways, yeah. So I could keep talking forever. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. I'll talk to you all later as soon as I figure out how to turn this off. So good night.